Welcome to Coastal Cottage, a small settlement on a hill that has a relatively nice garage and a ruined house. This time I wanted to create a realistic settlement with a lot of different materials, so while it will look like shit, it will be very believable. I wanted to start by tidying up this hole in the ground, so I placed the stairs and managed to add quite a bit of small floor blocks. The edges were a bit fucky, but in the end I think I added enough of them to be able to use the hole for something. I'm using the same floor blocks because I simply can't handle different floor blocks, so that is the only thing that I'm keeping tidy. You can let me know what do you want me to put in this hole. I added some more flooring on top and fenced the stairs. At this very moment I got the urge of collecting the picket fence magazines, so I did that and returned to the cottage. Those stupid new fences aren't snappable, which just made me hate everyone for about 12 seconds. Then I continued building. The plan now was to create a stable ground within the ruined house, and I did that by adding small blocks, but then I noticed how it was uneven, and there is no reason to have that happening on the ground, so I deleted it and added stairs in the wall, so I can align the floor to the existing little blocks. I was reasonably satisfied with this. I had a nice platform that went in line with the stairs towards the hole. Walls were next. Adding them was pretty simple for the ground floor, and yes, I'm aware that they are all the same type. You gotta excuse my mind. Sometimes I think of ideas very late. I built the platform of the first floor and it actually fit very nicely into the ruined house. Walls were also simple to add, and this is where my realistic settlement idea came to life. I began adding different types of walls, and I also added a nice window using the door frame fence trick. I placed the wall to this side facing the sea, and then I wanted to go another level up and create some sort of a watchtower on the side. I added stairs, but I couldn't continue placing the floor to the left cause the ruined house was sticking out. So after some experimenting I had to resort to using rugs to raise the ground enough. Not sure why I expected something else. Now the floor was very nice and I was able to extend it over the entire house, and I added balconies on the side facing the sea. This one block was a slight fucker, so I covered it with another rug. I made the balconies all nice and shitty and went placing walls to the rest of the platform. As before, I used a few different types to make it look as shitty as possible. Now comes the part that annoyed the living shit out of me. See this big gap between the two house levels? The sideways gap, how I like to call it? My plan was to add another line of walls a bit higher up, so they can cover up the gap. I had to use rugs yet again. Thank the gods for this glorious gift that saves lives. After adding them and placing a small block on them, the walls nicely snapped onto it, but it was too low. I kept adding rugs to raise the little block, but then I added too many rugs and I couldn't place the block anymore, so I had to delete some and then I was able to place it again. The gap was still slightly visible, but it was much better than before. The other side had a gap as well, and for this side I wanted to use paintings to cover them, but the fucking bastards refused to snap. So I gave up on that idea and put these walls that have the little thing on top, which helped me cover most of the gap. Now that the fuckery was done, I added the roof to the top level. One side wasn't wide enough for the entire roof block, so I placed some that were sticking out, and for the rest where I couldn't place the roof, I placed small floors. That's realistic, right? I went back down and added a few more walls to cover the holes in the ruined house. I glanced over the built house and noticed how the watchtower was sticking out, and it seemed like it was floating. So after failing to add cement blocks, I chose to use this shack bridge and stack a few of them to create the illusion of supports. I added another set of supports on the side, and I was pretty satisfied with the way it looked. Quite believable if you ask me. Now this back side of the house needed to be fixed. It was still just a big hole that bothered me. I used the cement blocks to cover the uneven ground, and I actually managed to place it very close to the house, and the walls nicely covered the hole. This edge right here didn't wanna snap, so I used a few of these shitty half walls to cover it up. Realism, bitch. I planned to extend the platform and create another house in this area, but this fucking couch was in the way, so I gave up and went back to the front side of the house. This area seemed kinda exposed, like a baby waiting to be kidnapped by dragon killers. First I placed more cement foundations in front. I didn't really know what I was doing here. I thought that maybe adding a nice flat platform in front of the entrance would bring some new ideas to my body. Ideas didn't really come to me, but I did place walls on the side that went from the house to the garage, and then suddenly I wanted to add fences to the platform. Now I had a nice path towards the front entrance. What next? I asked my body. I didn't receive a reply, but the mind started screaming the word fence. I wasn't sure why, maybe because I spent a fucking hour searching for those picket fence magazines. But my body finally synced up with my mind and I started adding the junk fence around the settlement. Due to the rough terrain, placing the fence was like hiking Mount Everest while being stabbed in the left knee every 3 steps. Since I remembered that this is a realistic settlement, I started using both the wire fence and the chain link fence to fill up the areas where the junk fence decided to be a bitch. This process took many minutes of my life, and I will forever hate junk fences and whoever created them, but once I was done I felt the need of adding a platform above the entrance so a person can always be on the lookout in case some ass maggots wanted to cause trouble at the gate. I used a small block and connected them from a shack bridge to the ground. Since they were floating, I added 2 poles on the sides. I think this is enough to make it seem like they are properly supported. Stairs were necessary, so I added them onto the shack bridge and then I put the fence all around the little platform. This edge here seemed shitty, so I extended the platform a bit, but then it was sticking out of the ground and I just disliked that, so I used another shack bridge to make it seem like it has proper support. Now I wanted to fix the garage. I covered the back entrance with a wall and added a door to the front. I also wanted to completely close off the garage to make it seem like some sort of a torture room or something, but the roof was fucked up, so I went to the back side of the settlement and created an elevated platform that I wanted to place into the garage as roof. I expected this to work like it does in Sanctuary, but unfortunately shittiness prevailed and I was unable to add it. I wanted to try something else. I went inside the garage and attempted to place a small floor somewhere in this area. It actually worked and I was able to cover a large majority of the ruined roof. Some of it wasn't fixable unfortunately, even the rugs couldn't help, so I walled off the windows and placed the door again. Let me know what do you want this garage to be. I went to the front entrance of the house and added a doorway so I can put a proper door to it. Since I was placing doors, I wanted to add a door to this entrance as well, since it still seemed very exposed. I put a door frame and walls around it, but I wasn't able to add a roof as well. I should have added some concrete on the outer area and simply connected enough blocks to create an artificial roof, but at the moment I didn't think of doing that. Since I spent an hour searching for the stupid magazines, I felt like I needed to use those materials a bit, so I put these picket fence posts in this corner. I still really wanted to put a house in this area, so I enabled the spring cleaning mod and removed the couch. Fuck that couch. After adding a nice cement foundation, I used the bunker items from the Snap and Build mod to create a bunker house. For the door I used the sliding elevator doors because they look pretty cool. Last step was fencing the edge of the foundation with a couple of different fences. The design of the Coastal Cottage Outpost is now completed and I hope it looks as believable as I wanted it to look. Since it is a small settlement, there is not a lot that can be done, but I think I did pretty well. Make sure to give me suggestions as to what do you want the rooms of this settlement to be. Thanks for watching and let me know, do you like to put things in holes? I have been Petard, your glorious lord, and may the blessings of Petardia eternally touch your butt.